Hello everyone, welcome once again to Pop Culture Comics in Overland Park, Kansas. I'm Captain Logan, and it's time once again for brand new comic book reviews. I'm going to count down my top 3 favorite DC and Marvel books this week, and then we'll do my favorite indie book and my favorite kids book as always. We're going to start now with my number 3, Deadman and the Flying Graysons, number 1. I've had something from Flashpoint on the top 3 since I started this new series, but I can't help it. I'm just loving this stuff. I thought this was a really odd idea at first, but it's quite clever and interesting. This miniseries puts several characters in Haley's circus with Dick Grayson, characters who have all been missing up to this point in the Flashpoint universe, including Deadman, but also Dr. Fate, and a man with Superman's chiseled jaw who's only referred to as Kent. Deadman is the same independent, arrogant hothead he usually is, except here, it's all about how he can put on a brilliant acrobatic show all by himself, and he doesn't think he needs anyone else like Dick Grayson thinks he does. Dick kindly tries to explain the importance of relying on others, especially in such a dangerous field, but Boston, being Boston, doesn't listen to him. It's surreal seeing some of these characters together who previously have rarely, if ever, interacted with each other, and I like that on the whole, Flashpoint has kept everyone's personalities intact while it changes their history. And those that have changed dramatically have done so because of major changes in background and experience, adding the extra dimension of realism required to make an alternate history story worthwhile. The cover is very cool, mimicking old circus advertisement posters, and there's a wonderful simplicity to the artwork even that harkens back to a different era. The backgrounds are especially stark in contrast to the foregrounds, and I like the muted color palette, which gets darker and moodier by the end when major trouble comes to Haley's circus. I also like the choice to make the Grayson suit similar to the Nightwing costume, as they've often been based on the original Robin suit. Finally, what really holds the story together is that it's smack dab in the middle of the central conflict in Flashpoint, the war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, which, believe it or not, makes perfect sense here, and the ending left me anxious for the next issue. J.T. Krull is a much better writer, at least based on this issue, than I've ever given him credit for. And number 2 this week, I picked Hulk, number 35. I rolled my eyes when I found out there was going to be a Planet Red Hulk, assuming this would just be a way to cash in on a previously successful arc. But this second and final part is actually all about the parallel between the two stories, and there's a decent explanation as to why Red Hulk is dealing with a similar experience as regular Hulk had. Jeff Parker is making me really like Red Hulk here. He puts Red Hulk in a classic sci-fi predicament and just subverts everything. Usually the hero in this story would resist being made the king of an alien world, but not Red Hulk. He goes right along with it, tells these people exactly what's wrong with their society and the war they're fighting, particularly that their war is pointless since it's been going on for so long that neither side knows what started it, and tries to instill a little common sense in this primitive society. But he's also very likable as he does this, using examples from Earth's history and reminding us that he used to be a military man. I like his commentary on the difference between government and military, and I especially like that there are things these aliens he's sided with do that he prefers to his own culture, like having the leaders of the two sides duke it out rather than making their subjects do all the fighting for them. My favorite scene is when one of the alien soldiers tells Red Hulk how smart and wise he is, and Red Hulk responds by saying that if he's the smartest leader they've ever had, they're in real trouble. The way the story wraps up kind of blindsided me. I expected the arc to be longer, but it was also very satisfying, ending with some very recognizable Marvel mythos designed to propel Red Hulk into an intriguing future. I don't usually read Hulk, but after this, I'll probably be back for more. I should also note how incredibly detailed the art and how vibrant the color is. There are some truly remarkable action panels here. And finally, number 1 this week, a brand new miniseries from Marvel, Captain America Core, number 1. I know what you're thinking. Man, does Captain Logan love his parallel universe stories. Yep, it's true, especially when they're written well, and I ate this thing up. The story opens by showing us various universes where Captain America is disappearing. We don't know the cause of this yet, but there's a ripple effect along the multiverse where it's happening in more and more universes, and Captain America being the huge influence he is, it's screwing up the futures of a lot of different worlds. So the cosmic being known as Tafki brings together various versions of Captain America, not from different dimensions, but from different times in the same dimension, which is a cool twist on the admittingly somewhat tired concept. So we've got a very early Steve Rogers, current Bucky, U.S. agent, and a couple of Captain Americas from much further in the future, including a female version. And things get really interesting when they all go far in the future to see just what damage has been done. There's already some good contrast happening with the various philosophies and methods of each hero, which will obviously continue to play through the rest of the 5-part series as they learn to work as a team. But it's clearly meant to be a fun adventure as well, and not real heavy stuff. Definitely the book I enjoyed most this week. And my indie pick this week is Witchblade number 145 from Top Cow. I mostly picked this book because of how easy it was to pick up and read. I haven't read a lot of Witchblade, and certainly haven't read anything from the past decade or so I was relieved that if you know who Sarah is, and you get the initial concept of the Witchblade, this is a great jumping on point. And there's a nice, well-written blurb on the first page to catch you up to speed if you don't know those basic things. The issue opens much like one of the popular latter episodes of Batman the Animated Series, the one with the kids who all describe seeing Batman in various ways. Here, it's a couple of homeless guys who both saw Witchblade fighting something in the sewer. One describes it like a knight trying to slay a dragon, and the other describes an epic superhero-supervillain fight. I could see a reader finding this extraneous, as we don't know what really happened until Sarah finally explains it to the reporter, who's digging for answers and knows about the Witchblade. But it serves the story because a major theme running through the book right now is the status of the Witchblade as an urban legend. Sarah's trying to keep everything on the down low, but it's getting harder and harder to use the Witchblade without anyone seeing it, and there's a lieutenant in the Internal Affairs office who's onto her. Plus, the art is masterful and gripping in these sections, and Sedgwick doesn't skimp on the epicness when we finally see what really happened either. An improvement on this story formula, since the actual Batman fight in the animated episode was pretty anticlimactic compared to the fantasy versions. Witchblade fought some hideous cyborg creature she knows nothing about, and this sets up a mystery that will be explored later. A satisfying read all by itself, and the perfect time to check it out for the first time, I think. And my kids' book this week is none other than Tiny Titans, number 41. Not a lot of new kids stuff this week, so I picked my favorite kids title. Continuing on with these themed issues, we've got the Speed issue this time, all about the really fast characters. And naturally, of course, opening with a joke about how Speedy is not. It's not 4 pages in when Kid Flash sharpens a pencil and calls it a Kid Flashpoint. This book is always making references to mainstream DC stuff, but I love that it's doing puns on the big event going on right now. Probably the best joke this time is Blue Beetle arguing with his backpack and getting angry because it forgot to pack stuff for his lemonade stand. And since it's a backpack, that's supposed to be its job. The backpack, of course, talks in ancient hieroglyphs, and then there's a code in the back in case you want to decipher them. Oh, and Lobo is the racing coach, which is hilarious all by itself. A lot funnier than last issue, and if you're skipping around with this series, this is a good one to pick up. And other stuff I read this week that's definitely worth your time. Invincible Iron Man, number 505. Iron Man fights the stone gargoyle avatar hip deep in the middle of Fear itself, and it's a rough fight for him. Detroit Steel gets in the middle, and it's not pretty. And DC's Abin Sur one-shot. This Green Lantern movie tie-in reveals Abin Sur's first visit to Earth in an event that surprisingly sets up an important character in DC continuity. And the Spike 100-page Spectacular from IDW. Collecting some of the best Spike stories from IDW, including Old Wounds, Asylum number 1, After the Fall First Night, and Spike vs. Dracula number 2 by Peter David. And a good amount of material for just $8 if you haven't read these. Also, just in case you're trying to keep up with the tie-ins for the big events right now, here's what came out this week. For Flashpoint, we have Legion of Doom, number 1 of 3. And then God of War, that's a one-shot. And then Wonder Woman and the Furies, number 1 of 3. And then Fear Itself, if you're keeping up with that, we've got the Home Front, number 3 of 7. And also Fear Itself, Youth in Revolt, number 2. And if you're ever in the Kansas City area, be sure to check out Pop Culture Comics in Overland Park, Kansas. That's where I am right now, and it's my favorite place to get comic books. It's also our official sponsor. And here's some new t-shirts we've got this week. If you happen to be in the area, you want to come take a look. Here is a cool Flash shirt. Some Green Lantern action. The Thing. And then a very nice Captain America shirt. Thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.